Okay.
My name's John Nottingham.
And my name is John Spirk, and we're co-presidents of Nottingham Spirk Design Associates, located in University Circle.
How'd you get started? How did you meet?
Well, we first came to University Circle because we were attracted to the Cleveland Institute of Arts Industrial Design program that was founded by Victor Schreckengost.
And I became aware of it through a friend in Pittsburgh who was coming up to interview at the art school and asked if I wanted to take a ride along. And I had no reason to come to Cleveland other than for a football game. But I came along anyway, and it was the best decision I ever made.
And my arts teacher at my high school in Sharon, Pennsylvania, little town north of Pittsburgh, recommended that I come to the Cleveland Institute of Art if I wanted to study industrial design.
Okay, so from the Institute of Art and what that nourished the meaning of the Institute of Art.
So we were here studying industrial design for 5 years. And while we were in the industrial design program, we started doing little design jobs for different companies. So we would do a logo, we would do some furniture, and we worked together. We found out we could work together pretty well. So by the time we graduated, both John and I had Fortune 500 job offers. We turned them down and we started a company in a carriage house in University Circle.
Actually, the carriage house was right behind the original building that Mocha started out in, on Bellflower. We were literally in their backyard.
Right, on Bellflower.
Bellflower.
And then we moved to Juniper, to a larger building, and that housed us for a while. And then we moved in 2005 into this building. And we've been here ever since. But then we found out when we moved into this building, it's had quite a history, didn't it?
Absolutely. It was a Walker and Weeks bit of architecture. It was designed for Christian Scientists, built in the late 20s, and had a great history. But the church members had decided to consolidate, and were looking for, as they put it, good stewards of the building. And they interviewed many people and rejected all of them because their first instinct was to tear the building down, to build something else. And John and I walked through the building and literally in 5 minutes went from top to bottom and said, this is the place we should be.
So we wanted to start a world-class innovation company in this building where we can start with design, product design, package design, engineering, prototyping, human insights, supply chain management, the whole thing. We call it vertical innovation, and we do it in this building. When we moved in, we found out that not only was it a Walker and Weeks building, but this was the inspiration for Severance Hall. Because at the time, this building was originally going to be built at the spot where Severance Hall was.
Oh, that story.
So, as we understand it, somebody in the Christian Science Church had been given that spot of land.
Right.
I think from Jephthah Wade originally.
And John Severance, when he was looking for a home for the orchestra, looked all around University Circle and felt that was the best place for his orchestra to be. The problem was the church owned the piece of property.
So the Musical Arts Association looked at it, and they went up to the Christian Scientists and they said, look, you know, we'd like to have this spot for our orchestra. And so that spot of ground where Severance is, the Musical Arts Association and Case Western Reserve, at the time Western Reserve, paid the Christian Scientists $600,000 in 1928 for the property. And the church members said, okay, we're gone. We're going to move to the top of the hill, where we are now. Not only that, when the Musical Arts Association saw the Walker and Weeks plan for this building, this octagonal rotunda that you're seeing here, and the style, the Beaux-Arts style of the architecture, they said, we like that.
Yeah.
And they went to the same architects, Walker and Weeks, to start the plan for Severance Hall. And
So,
when you walk in, when you walk in Severance Hall, there are several spots of Severance Hall, parts of Severance Hall, parts of the architecture that resemble this building.
it's interesting because, you know, people from, you know, across the country and come here and say, this building looks like Severance Hall. No. Severance Hall looks like this building because it was designed before Severance Hall was designed. And what you see is basically in this building the blueprint for what Severance Hall became.
So it's the same Indiana limestone, some of the same fixtures, built almost at the same time in the early 1930s. So these are sister buildings.
That's a neat story. Very well done.
We started Nottingham Spirk 40 years ago, 1972, and in that time, our group has been responsible for 1,000 patents, and all those patents were commercialized. And that's significant because 100 years ago, Thomas Edison's group, another Ohio boy, that group had 1,093 patents, and that's the record for that group size.
We're closing in on it.
We're closing in on them. But there are products that people use every day. For instance, of those 1,000 patents, 100 of them are vacuum cleaners with the Dirt Devil name,
Right.
the Hoover name, and other names that you would know.
Many are Little Tikes products that Little Tikes was founded in Northeast Ohio, and they were one of the first companies we started working with when we started this business. And we've developed hundreds of products over the years for Little Tikes.
Well, Invacare wheelchairs, Invacare oxygen concentrators, Manco duct tape,
Yeah.
the little duck character for duct tape, has revolutionized that kind of DIY product. The spin brush toothbrush was the first $5 electric toothbrush. Before we invented the spin brush,
Right.
43 patents, by the way, about 1% of people in this country brushed electrically. Today, it's over 30%.
Right.
Because of the low cost and the success of the spin brush. I think they have made and sold about 500 million spin brushes.
And many times, obviously we work with companies around the country and around the world, and many times people who come here for a visit, for meetings, it's the first time they've been to Cleveland. And we make sure they leave with a very unique impression. We'll set up dinners around the circle for great restaurants. We'll have Terry Stewart will roll out the red carpet at the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, and they get a great insight into what's going on downtown. And they really leave very much changed as to their impression of Cleveland, because, unfortunately you get too many of the impressions from Jay Leno and national news. But when you're really here, when they're here, spending a day or two with us, they leave very much a believer in the city.
And especially University Circle. We always say there's no square mile on the face of the planet that has what University Circle
Right.
has, packed in this square mile, between universities and art museums, Cleveland Orchestra, all of the cultural amenities. It's a wonderful area, urban area.
Right.
Perfect. What are your favorites?
Of
Do you have a favorite of the institution?
Well, obviously our favorite is the Cleveland Institute of Art. I mean, it's where our roots go, and we've hired many graduates from the Institute of Art.
Do you have interns?
Yes, and well, interesting enough, being here, we're within walking distance of the best design school, in our opinion, one of the best engineering schools, Case, one of the best management schools with Weatherhead School of Management. So, you know, we're a hotbed of talent right here. Quite a few of our 60 people, it's the only job they've ever had, including John and me.
Right. Yeah, we have a short resume.
How many people work for you?
We have about 60 as designers, engineers, and MBAs. And you hear about the problem of the brain drain. Well, we're actually a brain gain, because not only do we recruit around here, but we bring people from the outside into Cleveland to work here.